Okay, today was leg day and it was probably the hardest workout I've ever done in my life. So I went to the gym, I was gonna do my normal thing. And what I usually start with on most of these leg days is a bunch of hamstring work, pretty much just kill the hamstrings and then move into like squats, finish with like leg extensions and just burn out the quads, right? But this isn't what I did today because I ended up working in with a friend of mine who's a lot bigger than me, a lot stronger than me, and has a lot more experience in bodybuilding. So I followed him and did his plan, and that ended up being one of the craziest things I've ever done. It was a lot of low weight, high rep, high intensity work. We did supersets for pretty much every exercise, and by the end of it, I remember we finished with walking lunges, and I kid you not, I was literally like on the final lunge, I couldn't get back up. I had to lie on the incline bench and just sit there for like a good minute. It was like the craziest leg day ever. So I'm gonna go over it in this video because that's what I do. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, I start off with seated hamstring curls first. The reasons it's seated, there is no reason. I just like to start with seated sometimes. I like to start with lying sometimes. There's a weird thing with lying hamstring curls for me. I feel like whether I'm doing the full stack or I'm doing half the stack, I can only get like 8 to 10 reps. I don't know why it's like that, but that's just the way things are. So I don't end up going too heavy on the lying hamstring curls because they were really hard, especially because it was after 5 heavy sets on this machine. I went at around 220 pounds, which is like 3/4 of the stack almost. We're getting there. We're going to be pretty close to the end of the stack by the end of the year. I did 5 sets here. And some of them were supersets. I think I did 2 supersets here. I mean drop sets actually, my bad. I did 2 drop sets here out of the 5 sets. And something here that I do is I lean forward. So this is a lot like Sam Sulek, what he does. He leans forward on the hamstring machine, and what that actually does is stretches the hamstring a lot more. Think of doing like a Romanian deadlift or any deadlift for that matter. You lean forward and you get more of a stretch with your hamstrings, right? So here I'm kind of replicating that motion where I lean forward a lot more, get more stretch on my hamstrings, especially in the proximal part of my hamstring. And so I get a ridiculous stretch every time I come back up on the movement. I get a crazy squeeze at the bottom, and especially because it's heavy, this movement absolutely eviscerates my hamstrings. And if that wasn't enough, I move on to lying hamstring curls, which does even more eviscerating. So a total of 8 sets for hamstrings. I could have done a little bit more, but I feel like my hamstrings are pretty well developed, at least from the side. From the back is really hard to get them to show. That is one of the hardest things with bodybuilding, is actually getting your hamstring to show in that back double bicep shot. But it will come once I lean down. I'm pretty sure my hamstrings are really big in size. They're also pretty strong, so I'm not too worried about that. 8 sets of hamstrings down. Now this is like the standard of what I do, right? I've already done 8 sets of hamstrings. Now I'm moving on to quads. And here's where the crazy stuff begins. Now, mind you, I didn't record all of my sets here, but I was going to do the squats and I ended up working in with my friend that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and we're doing leg press here. Now, leg press 6 plates is not that heavy, right? I ended up doing like 23 reps, and what ends up happening here is we immediately go and we superset it with 1 plate on the hack squat, a single plate. We end up doing plat squats, which is basically heel elevated, pushing completely from the toes, generates a lot more tension on the quads, a ridiculous pump in the area, and this just felt absolutely ludicrous. Like, my quads were on fire. They were like ballooned up. I couldn't even like curl my leg because the quad muscle was just so pumped with blood. It was such a crazy feeling. Like, I felt insane quad pumps before, but this is like another level of just tightness and contraction, like all that good stuff in the quad. So I moved up to 7 plates here. We actually did 3 sets here total. I recorded 2 of them. We did all 3 of them were actually supersets with the hack squat. This is now 7 plates on the leg press. Again, I'm doing a really slow eccentric here. Today's focus wasn't moving heavy weight like it usually is. Today's focus was slowing down the movement, really driving blood into the muscle, and we definitely did end up doing that. My range of motion could be a little farther. You could say more ass to grass, but we're training quads here, not hamstrings. So if I do go ass to grass, there's a lot more hamstrings. Plus, I think my range of motion is better than the typical gym bro, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. I still got a ridiculous pump. And of course, we're supersetting with hack squats. I don't actually think I recorded the hack squats. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't end up recording the hack squats, but I do assure you that we did superset with hack squats. If you don't believe me, I honestly don't care. It's just pretty annoying when you're in the zone, when you're blasting your music, you do a set and you quickly got to go do the superset, carry your camera with you, set it up. Like, I'm not gonna do that, you know what I'm saying? So in the next exercise, you thought we were skipping squats? We're not skipping squats, except we're doing Smith squats. Now we're doing this kind of concoction here with the straps, turning into kind of like a safety bar squat. But this is 1 plate, right? 1 plate. You'll see I do a lot of reps here. I go ass to grass. I pause at the bottom. It's a much harder movement. It's way harder on the quads, way more taxing on your cardiovascular system. Overall, this was crazy. If you haven't done this before, try it. Squats, I feel like I've always thought that squats needed heavier weight. Today I learned that's not the case. Today I learned that you can get a ridiculous leg workout with literally one plate on both the hack squat and a regular squat. And the Smith machine also felt really nice too. I didn't have to worry about keeping the bar on my back. I kind of just moved. And we supersetted here with leg extensions. I did manage to get some recording of the leg extensions. Obviously, I'm getting spotted here because I'm literally dying. Like, this is the part of the workout where I'm in trouble. But here you'll notice what we do. We kind of do what Tom Platz was famous for doing. He lets his hips extend further. Now, what this does is gets a bigger stretch on the top part or the proximal part of the quads. You'll notice the first part of the movement, which was the squats, the Smith squats, was for the lower or the distal part of the quads where the teardrop is, where all that good stuff is. And then this part of the movement, this part of the superset rather, is for the upper or the proximal part of the quad. The quad is a gigantic muscle, especially if you have long femurs like me. It spans like what, a foot and a half almost for some people with long femurs. So you want to hit both parts of it, top and bottom. You want to hit all four heads. You want to hit pretty much everything in your legs today, right? So that's what we did here with the leg extension. I didn't go with the full stack like I always do. I usually just bang out the full stack for a bunch of reps, but I didn't do that today. I went a little bit lighter and controlled the motion here again. And this is going to cause my legs to look a lot leaner when they're not. It's going to help a lot with muscle maturity, help a lot with the density and the size and the shape, the morphology of the muscle. And that's what we're trying to train today. Some days, obviously, it's great to go heavy and just bust the weight around. But today, we're taking it slow. We're squeezing, and it ended up being the hardest leg day of my life. All right. You thought we were done. You thought we were done. Okay, he's done squats. He's done leg press. He's done hack squats. He's not going to go do like a really hard leg exercise, right? And we do Bulgarian split squats. So, warming up with the 60 here. Kind of warming up. We're already warm, right? I'm just trying to drive more blood into the muscle here. It's just like the first feeder set. Both of us were dying here, to be quite honest. Especially me. Like I was literally like thinking of throwing up. I was locating the local trash cans just in case something came up. Good thing I had breakfast like 3 hours ago. Like I recommend, do not eat a meal 1 hour before the gym, or it probably won't stay in your stomach, if you know what I mean. From 60 to 80, and you'll notice my range of motion is a lot bigger here. I am grunting. I'm falling over. Like my balance is just going to complete garbage. I just can't stay upright. I'm falling over. It's really hard here. But I'm getting a really good stretch on the back leg. I'm getting a really good contraction on the front leg. After the 80, we move on to the 100, and I do the 100. Last set, I think about my goals. I think about my dream of being an IFBB pro, and I move that thing. I move it. I think I did 10 reps per side. That felt good. When you're at the end of your set, when you feel like you can't go anymore, you can definitely go more. That's just a simple rule. That's a law. You can see I'm falling over here. Like most people here just aren't going to go another rep, another set, but you can do it. Like it's possible. So just push your body and do it. A lot of people say, oh, it's overworking. It's not going to help me. You realize that half of this sport, more than half of this sport, is the mental aspect of it. If you push your mental capacity to this point and past this point to where you don't even realize how far you can push your body. If you push it past that point, dieting will be easier for you mentally. Doing shows will be easier for you mentally. Training past failure will be easier for you mentally. A lot of this sport is mental. So if you're so worried about overworking and you never truly push your limits, they're not going to unlock that mental capacity that you need to be a top tier contender. I hope that makes sense because a lot of bodybuilding people think it's just physical, lifting weights and eating a lot. You need to have the mindset of a champion. You need to be hungry, both literally and figuratively in this example. So the last set we did walking lunges, body weight. I didn't record that because it was completely unexpected. I just hopped right into it, as I was told to by my training partner. So I did that, and here we finished with calves. I recorded 2 sets of calves. I think we did 3 or 4. At this point in the workout, I'm completely dying. I'm really just trying to squeeze here with the calves. Usually I do like the full stack and like add a plate to it too, but here I really didn't need to, and that goes to show again, weight is really overrated at times. You don't even really need that much weight. So that was the craziest leg day of my life. If you want to try the workout, I'm warning you, if you do the intensity that we did today, you're going to be in for a lot of difficulties later on. I mean, I had a lot of fun. Like I love really hard leg days. What's crazy is like right now I have like no appetite, but I'm also hungry at the same time. I've gone to the washroom multiple times. Like this leg day killed me. I'm telling you, this was an insane training session, but I'm grateful for it. You need these training sessions in your life. You need to train hard, you need to train heavy, and you need to train light sometimes as well. Light doesn't mean not training hard. It just means lowering the weight and focusing more on what's important in this case. That's it for the session, though. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next bulk video.